Okay, hello and welcome to our Spring 2015 BI and Reporting webcast series. I'm Jason Gumpert, and we're here today for the final session in the series, our BI and Reporting vendor Shootout. It's been a busy season. We started the series back a couple months ago, and we've had a real range of sessions. I tried to fit them all onto the slide, and it was almost a little too much to do a screen grab of, but we've had sessions on a range of topics from built-in reporting and BI capabilities of different Dynamics ERP and CRM tools, to looking at some of Microsoft's latest technology, to really the future of things like machine learning and predictive analytics, financial reporting, a whole range of stuff, and that's all available on demand now on msdynamicsworld.com, so feel free to go back and check that out at your convenience. We couldn't run the series without our sponsors, and I want to thank them for being a part of it. Today we have representatives of each of those firms online today, and they'll be presenting on their vision for reporting in BI in the dynamic space. We have presenters from Facto, Jet Reports, and Solver. Each presenter will have 15 minutes, and we'll begin in just a moment. We invite you to ask your questions using the Q&A block that you should see to the right of the slides. And we'll be making time for questions at the end of the presentation after each of our presenters has spoken. So let me introduce our first presenter here. We'll get things kicked off. Please, I'm happy to bring on Anthony Bonaducci. Anthony, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me okay?
We can. And
awesome.
I'm going to make you presenter.
Okay, sounds good. Let me just start here. I'll share my screen. Okay, let's see. We want to go 1, 3. All right. Can you see that okay?
Yes, it's come up now.
Okay, perfect. Let me just drag this box out of the way over here. All right. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate the introduction here. Again, I'm Anthony Bonaducci with Jet Reports. I'm our West U.S. channel manager. We're excited to be here and get to represent Jet and present a little bit to you guys today. So the first thing I want to do is just cover kind of the agenda we'll go through. So it's very brief, a little bit about why this is what we're doing. So I wanted to kind of veer off from the standard Jet presentation we do where we show Jet Essentials and Jet Enterprise. I'm sure you've seen probably that presentation before if you're attending. If not, we have those probably once or twice a month. Otherwise, there's videos on the website. And so what I wanted to cover today is actually kind of the latest and greatest from Jet Reports with regards to BI, and that is Jet Mobile. And that's basically not only a new front end from Jet Reports, so it's outside of Excel, but it also gives you the ability to take your dashboards on the go now with your smartphones, tablets, web browser. So anything with web browser access, it has dynamic capabilities. So, that pretty much enables all mediums that can, again, use web browser capabilities. And then lastly, I want to kind of do another half here on kind of discussing our beliefs around BI and a really key misconception that seems to be prominent throughout the business world, especially in the BI and reporting space. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually pop out of here. Like I said, I want to cover Jet Mobile first. And so what Jet Mobile does basically is if I open up this dashboard builder here, this is what you're going to see. So it's going to pull up a list of basically your example dashboards or any dashboards you've already put together, and it's going to allow you to either modify those or create a new dashboard. So in this case, I want to create a new dashboard. And I'm just going to use our sales cube today because of the quality of the sample data. So for the presentation here, we'll just make a sales dashboard. You can give it a description if you want so that your users can easily see, what you're looking at or what this dashboard's about. As far as the data source, in this case, I'll just use Navision. But if you had any other sets of cubes as well, you could access those here. And then obviously these are those pre-built cubes that come with Jet Reports. So we do give you 7 cubes out of the box for NAV or GP or AX. So there's a lot of stuff there as well. And the idea is you can come in here and say, okay, well, let's just look at my sales cube, and we'll click OK. So when I do that, just to kind of introduce you to what you see here, if you haven't seen this application before, over here on the left, this is what we call the action area. So this is where everything that goes into building your dashboard lives. So again, all the different visuals and kind of data sources that you can pull in here. Down here on the bottom, we have all of our measures and dimensions from those cubes, measures being the numerical values, so things like cost, profit, sales amount, quantity, etc. and dimensions being the pieces that give those relevance or context. So things like, who are we selling these sales to? So who's the sell to customer? Who's the salesperson? Our global dimensions? What company is selling these? So, again, just the context for those numbers. But if I want to use this application, it's incredibly easy to use. I'm sure you've seen, again, the enterprise within Excel, Jet Enterprise within Excel. That's definitely easy as well, but I almost think this application's easier. What this allows you to do is just use drag and drop. So if I want to start building out my sales dashboard here, maybe the first thing I'll do is drag in a pie chart and just set that where I want it. And I'll just bring in kind of the first kind of ultimate sales metric, right? Let's get sales amount and let's get salesperson on document. So we'll get sales by salesperson. So I want to see how my sales team's doing, compare them, and then again, there's all that data. So just by dragging and dropping that in, the dashboard builder builds all this automatically. I can change the title here, sales by salesperson. And, I'm just basically going to rinse and repeat this process a few times and start building out the data I want to see. Now, if some of this looks small, don't worry because this is not the actual viewing apparatus. It's not designed to view and interact from within this application here, the Jet Dashboard Builder. You're going to save the output, and I'll show you what that looks like in a bit. But maybe I drag in a column chart here again, set that where I want it. And let's take a different look this time. Let's look at top item sales by profit. So maybe I'll come up here and grab profit, drag that in. I'll grab item here, drag that in as well. And you'll see again, it's going to build this out for me. Now, one thing I did here, and I did this on purpose, is there's a lot of different items in this sample database. It's very difficult to discern what those are. I could obviously add, slicers, which are just visual filters to this dashboard as well. But, it does have the capability, which I want to demonstrate for just kind of on-the-fly filtering. And what I mean by that is, well, I'll just click on this profit value here. And maybe I'll just come down and say, you know what, only give me my top 10. And I'll take off my other categories so I don't skew that data and just click OK. All right, so just like that, obviously it's going to be a lot easier to deal with this data now. I can change my name here, top item sales by profit. And we'll just do this one more time. So let's grab maybe a donut chart for the last one, set it down. And this time we'll take a look at sales by item category. So I'll bring in sales amount. I'll bring in item category by product group. There's the data. Let's change our title. Okay. Now we've done a really good job of kind of a well-rounded start here to our sales dashboard, right? We have sales by salesperson, sales by item category. We've factored in some profit here as well. The big thing that sticks out to me that we're missing is some sort of a date dimension. So obviously we're getting all-time numbers right now from our database, and that's not probably what we want to see, or at least we want to be able to make changes to that. So, I could bring in a traditional slicer, a visual filter, but what I like to do with these dashboards is bring in a range slicer. If you haven't seen these before, they're really slick. They're basically a visual and a filter in one, so you get kind of a little more bang for your buck as far as the space goes. And I guess while we're on that topic here, you can have multiple pages, so you're not limited to this one sheet, but if you do want to keep it all concise, again, this range slicer is a nice way to do that. So let's do a different look here. Let's actually compare sales amount with the profit associated over time. So we'll bring in sales and profit. Come down here at the bottom and let's get our posting date. And I am going to use the year, quarter, month, day hierarchy from this pre-built sales cube. And there is a reason I chose to do that, and we'll get there in a second. But what this allows me to do, as I've already said, is basically say, well, I just want to see 2011 through 2015. And I could, further refine the range. I could make it, 2011 through 2013 if I wanted to drag that in. As I mentioned, you can use this as a visual still, so we can still see what our sales were at the starting here for 2011. But also you get that, that ability to slice and dice your data. So we'll pull that back. The reason I use the hierarchy is because maybe I want to see it in smaller increments. Maybe I want to see it in quarters or months or days. So I could select those and we'll just update the axis here to show those as well. In this case, I'll leave it as years because I think it looks nice and clean. The next thing I always do, drag in some sort of a text box so that my individuals in my organization know what they're actually looking at. So maybe we call this sales dashboard. We can bold this, maybe make it a little bigger here, and I'll just kind of tuck this in the corner over here. And now the last thing I always try and do at this point is just bring in those ways to manipulate the data, right? So bring in some slicers. So I'll grab a couple of these and just drag them on my my visual here, or my dashboard area, I should say. And just to clarify, I guess I didn't mention this at the start, but this area that's this big white box, that's what's going to show up on your smartphones, your tablets, your mobile device, your web browser. So basically all you'll see is what's in this big white area here. And so you want to obviously maximize your space here, but then again, we do have multiple pages. So we'll set these where we want them, drag them up, and do that one more time. And now we just get to decide, how we want to manipulate this data. So, obviously a probably important one here is to get salesperson, so we can, slice and dice by our individual salespeople. Maybe I don't want this visual to affect my sales by salesperson piece, right? Because if I just select, a net, I'm going to end up with one big pie, and we don't want that. We still want to be able to see how she relates to the others. So let's just come in here, and we'll just say, you know what, only associate that with my top item sales by profit and my sales by item category. We'll click OK. That way, if we select the individual salespeople, we can still see the the comparison, but we're not we're still affecting the other visuals. So we'll bring in salesperson. Let's go ahead and grab global dimension 1, maybe drag that in, and that's in this nav sample databases department. So I'll give that a name, and then we'll just bring in one more. Maybe we just do company and set that down. So from a design standpoint, I'm really done with this thing. Obviously, as I said, I could add another page, add more detail if I want, but, the last couple things I always do, I like to choose a darker theme. I think they pop a little better on the tablets. So maybe grab a darker theme here. I could set up my security really quick. So I could come in here and say, this would be my list of users at my organization, and I could check to who I want to share this with or uncheck the users that I don't. Click OK. And then it's just a matter of saving this thing and closing out. And what you'd see is I want to show you what it kind of looks like from the viewer standpoint. If I pop in here to my demo environment, and again, these are just sample dashboards that I threw together on our end, but we'll let this pull up here in just a second. Should pop us in there. And then you'll see if you were to do this, with your company, you would pop in, see all your different dashboards available. You can open any of these up. So this is just a copy of the dashboard I just put together. But you can see, because we're pulling from that data warehouse and cube environment, all the data updates instantly. So I just want to see North America, just 2013 through 2015. Everything's updated. And then, as I mentioned earlier, some of this data, especially stuff here at the bottom right, might be a little small, difficult to see. Let's just blow that up. So now we're looking at our sales by salesperson. It does have the capability for just, again, on-the-fly filtering. So maybe I take out my West Coast salespeople. I can still see that data. Otherwise, I can add them back in this way. I can also grab and drag over. So here's my top 10 items by profit. There's an arrow here I can click as well. So there's my sales by item category, right? So all the detail there. And so that's really the idea. You build these once in a very easy manner. You can take them on the go. Another piece of functionality we've added that's really slick are these performance tiles. And so what those do is allow you to monitor your business at a glance. So this is something great where you can pull out your cell phone, have a dashboard full of performance tiles and just see all your, KPIs and metrics for your organization. So what you do with these is set thresholds, right? So if we're below our goal of 45%, turn the tile red. Maybe if we're above our goal, it's green, or if we're in between a certain range, it's yellow, whatever colors you want. And again, you could just grab your phone before you hop on the plane, swipe through a few of these and see exactly how things are going. So, I think these dashboards look great, right? The one I put together, it looks pretty clean. It's a nice looking dashboard. But what I want to do is jump back to my presentation here and kind of go over a little bit more. So as we've already talked about, this is what everyone thinks BI is, right? It's that pretty dashboard. It's all about the vibrant visuals, the KPIs, all those types of things. And while those are certainly great, they're really just about data visualization. There's a lot of good data viz tools out there. We often refer to them as front ends. But what about the back end? The far too overlooked part of BI. I like to compare it to buying like an exotic car, right? At first glance, it's bright, it's flashy. We all pretty much want one. But what if you buy the car and the engine needs a ton of work? Or what if the engine's been removed altogether and maybe you have to build one, completely from scratch? What I'm trying to get at is that it's the data model behind the scenes that really drives BI. In fact, this is really what BI is. It may not be as glamorous here, but it's about taking that data from your nav database or your CRM or your GP or your AX, or maybe you have historical data in some SQL database or any of those different places. It's about bringing that into the data warehouse, massaging that data, only pulling in that relevant information, organizing it by subject matter. So, sales is all in one place, finance is in one place, regardless of which data source or table it lives in. And then, further kind of refining that data and optimizing it by taking it into these cubes. So we pull the data into the cubes. It's pre-calculated. We bring in dimensionality, key performance indicators. It's easy to use. It's fast. And that's really what powers BI. It's so often overlooked, though, and it's something here at Jet that we love to talk about. So as we've already discussed, the back end drives BI. It's often overlooked. And at Jet Reports, I mean, this is how we see it. So for those of you who are purely front-end users, look away, avert your eyes. You can't unsee this stuff. But this is actually our Jet Data Manager. So this is data warehouse automation, and this is what we get excited about here at Jet Reports. It's what we like to talk about. And using Jet's ETL tool, which you're seeing here, we're able to generate mountains of SQL coding with the push of a button. It enables the average user, someone like myself, to manage and create the data model without being a SQL or a BI expert. Perhaps more importantly, it allows us to do all of this stuff 5 times faster. So did you know the average BI implementation is around 4 to 5 months? I mean, Gartner even has it recently pegged at 17 months. Can you imagine that? I mean, there are so many issues with a long implementation, ranging from the allocation of resources, things like time and money, all the way to just the basic needs of your organization. So, the time and money piece, right, it's self-explanatory. If something takes 5 times longer, we're working with a consultant, that's going to be 5 times the hourly rate you're paying them. From a needs standpoint, what we see is your needs now are not going to be the same 17 months from now or 4 to 5 months from now. So it's this constant game of, here's what I want, 4 to 5 months later it's delivered, but now your needs have changed, and now you have to start from scratch again, or not from scratch, but at least kind of continue that process. So it's this never-ending cycle. So in conclusion, I just want to highlight a couple of our beliefs. We have a ton of beliefs. In fact, if you talk to our VP of BI, you're probably not going to get out of there for a couple hours. But a couple of the ones I really like is that BI is not a technology, a framework, or a platform. BI is a way to engage with data, to tell a story, to figure out what to do. No one can give you BI, right? You need to know the stories you want to tell. There's no one-size-fits-all BI solution, and BI is all about the back end, the data model. That's the key. So that's what I wanted to cover today. I think we're right about 15 minutes, but if anyone has questions after the presentation, obviously we'll have some time. There's my contact info. But thank you very much. Again, we're happy to present and be here.
Great. Thanks, Anthony. We're going to move on to our next presenter. So let me stop sharing here. I'm going to pass it over to Anthony Deanna. Anthony, are you there? I'll take you off mute.
Okay.
Hey, Anthony, are you there now? I think we can hear you.
I'm here. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah. Hey, by any chance, do you have a handset?
I'm using the... Yeah.
Okay.
Is it better? This better?
Yeah, that is better. Great.
Okay,
So,
great.
yeah, you're up on the screen now. You're ready to go.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining the call today. We look forward to this every time we get the chance. We've been in, if you guys know de facto, we've been in the dynamic space for probably about 5 or 6 years, still probably considered rookies at some level. But hopefully you're hearing more and more about us. Just to give you some background, we are a fully unified budgeting, forecasting, consolidation, and reporting application. So my name is Anthony Deanna. I'm COO and one of the co-founders of de facto. So what I'll do is I'll give you a little bit of background on the company because, again, I want to make sure everybody knows who we are, and then we'll do a quick demo just to give you a nice overview of the types of things we could do with the product. Just some background quickly. The architects behind de facto actually built the SAP BPC product, or formerly known as OutlookSoft, if you're familiar with that. Also the Hyperion Enterprise product. So we've been building these types of products for over 30 years, mission-critical performance management applications. So we really know what works and what doesn't, and we really applied that into de facto, but using the latest and greatest Microsoft technology, and we'll talk about that in a second. We work with various analysts, so Gartner calls us mission critical for the new CFO, meaning that you're not just focused on purely the financials anymore, right? The CFO is now really going beyond that and getting more into the operational side and seeing that the CFO is really a stepping stone to the CEO position. Our customers tend to be mid to large, cross-industry. We have many global partners in Dynamics and specifically around performance management to support us in our implementations. We are very deeply involved with Microsoft. We're involved with their Office of the CFO. We're involved in their offering of machine learning for forecasting, and we're also involved in their parallel data warehouse capabilities. So we're getting the opportunity as a gold partner and managed partner to be very involved with them. If you've seen us at Summit and Convergence, we run the de facto 5K at these shows, and it's been a lot of fun. We've raised a lot of money for the local food banks in the local areas that the show is at. So we will be doing it again in Reno for Summit and again in New Orleans next year for Convergence. So it'd be great if you can sponsor. If you want to participate, even better. We tend to grow the race each time, so it's become a lot more fun, a lot of competition, but all friendly, which is really, really great, and for obviously a great cause. Not to spend too much time on these boring customer slides. The point here is I wanted you to see that we look at large companies, small companies, public, private, for-profit, non-for-profit, so across the board. The one common factor is really the CFO organization. So if you look across our customer base, that's where we're starting. The CFO, the controller, director of FP&A, VP of finance, right? That's our target audience in purchasing and using de facto, and then we expand from there into more of the operational side of things. Okay, just a quick kind of high-level architecture of the product. So we can bring in data from virtually anywhere. So that's the key thing. And so the point I want to make here is that de facto only sells one product. All these things are integrated. We don't sell a bunch of different modules. So no matter how you're bringing the data in and from where, it's always the same setup and always the same interface from the end user perspective. So we have connectors for all the flavors of Dynamics, but you can bring in data from other data sources as well. And you have the ability to bring in the data either together and marry it in one centralized model, or you can create more subject-oriented models if you choose to. So that's really up to you. All the intelligence is built into de facto around things like financial intelligence, things like business rules, like allocations, the ability to do what-if analyses, all those kinds of things are all built into the product. So you get all the reporting, all the budgeting and planning, all the forecasting and modeling capabilities, again, are already there for you once you set up the de facto model. Our main interface is Excel, and that's what we'll focus on in the demo today, but we do have web and mobile interfaces as well. And we use standard technology, so you can use standard Microsoft BI tools to report off of de facto. So, we look at various BI vendors. We don't really see them. We tend to get in the Dynamics world, I think anything that has a cube tends to be grouped in as a BI product, but we wouldn't really consider ourselves to be a BI product. We have BI components. We do use the cube technology, but we really look at BI vendors as more as a complement to us than a competitor to us, because we're doing things that they can't do, and they can offer visualization on our same capabilities. So if you look at like Power BI, if a customer has a Power BI strategy, well, that's very complementary to de facto because Power BI can sit directly on top of de facto, right? And any other product in the Power space that Microsoft sells, or really any other vendor that offers that reporting and data visualization, really can sit on de facto because we use the native Microsoft SQL and analysis capabilities, and so they can take advantage of that. So we can really plug very nicely into an overall BI strategy, but we offer things that the traditional BI products can't do. Okay, and this is what I mean by that. So if you look at the traditional customer, hey, I want to replace FRX or I want to replace MR, I need a better reporting tool. They're looking kind of tactically, right? I need to get better reporting. But what they don't realize is they have much bigger needs than that. And that's around budgeting, planning, forecasting, modeling, et cetera. And if they don't make the right decision up front, then they're going to be buying more and more ISV products as they go, right? And the problem is they may or may not work together. If there are additional modules from one vendor, you're buying the reporting module because you like it, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to like the planning module, right? With de facto, all this is integrated into one solution. So in fact, if you buy de facto for any one of these things, all the other things essentially come for free. So that's something to think about, and then it's a fully integrated solution. So everything is in one place. So you don't have to worry about moving data all over the place or having a different interface for your end users for budgeting versus reporting, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so the important thing is there's plug-and-play vendors out there for reporting and so forth, and that's great if you're looking to just, like I said, have that tactical view and you're looking to replace FRX. There's some great tools out there. But if you need a broader view of things and a longer-term view of things, you don't need to necessarily use all this out of the gate, but you need to kind of have that broader view of things and use the other capabilities of a product like de facto to really integrate all the facets of your business. Okay, so with that, I'll jump to the demo, and we'll give you a little bit of background on the product here. So like I said, we're going to focus on Excel, and you'll see we're right in Excel today. We have our de facto ribbon here. We can work in any version of Excel, both 32 and 64-bit if you like. With de facto, you have a shared library, which is where all your standard reports are stored, and you can see everything here is just an Excel file. So I'm going to open up a file here just to give you some background, and this is just a Excel-based dashboard. And what is set up here is nothing that you probably haven't done before. All the formatting is Excel formatting. All the stop lighting is Excel stop lighting. Even the checks and all that, that's all just standard Excel stuff. The charting is just a standard Excel chart, right? So the nice thing is we're able to use these functionalities with the standard Excel capabilities, so the training is very minimal, and you're able to get up and running very quickly. And you'll see that this is live against the database. So if I were to change, let's say, my company dimension to the U.S., I can just simply refresh this, and just like that, my report's refreshed. Now, something to realize, too, is when we create our hierarchies and our dimensions here, those we can, we bring in data from your underlying Dynamics databases, but you can bring in other data, and more importantly, you have the ability to model this data in a way that how you run your business. So it doesn't have to be dictated about how the data comes or how it's situated inside of Dynamics. It's really up to you and how you organize that information. So what I mean by that is these hierarchies are built one time at the model level, and then everybody shares in that. So if you have a regional view of your business and you want to see how that works, well, here's your regional view, and you can move all this stuff around. I can drag and drop it if I wanted to create my hierarchy in a different way. I also have the ability to view that same data. So here's my management organization, but I could take that same core data and say, well, maybe I want to view it on a functional basis. So I could take, you can see now I have my sales function, and New York now reports to sales, and Boston now reports to G&A. So I have the ability to create all these alternate hierarchies of my data and use that in Excel live against the database. So it's really very easy to use. And again, it's not something that you have to worry about formulas and reports or anything like that. De facto handles all that for you. Okay, so that's just to give you some background on how we model our data. If you did want to create some other reports, we'll just look at some other reports here. So I'll open again from the shared library. I have this example here just to give you an idea of more standardized reporting. And you can see the speed in which these things open and refresh. This is what you would get. And more importantly, you can see this is one report, standard income statement. I also have some KPIs underneath, right? And all this is on a monthly basis, including quarters and so forth. But what you may not see is I have actually 5 reports that refreshed in the amount of time that you saw that report refresh. So it's really, really that quick. Okay? When the data comes back from Excel, from de facto, it comes back as a value. So I don't need to worry about pasting values or exporting data. I could email this report to anybody, whether or not they had de facto, and they can use it just like I'm using here. Okay, so here I have, like I said, more standard income statement kind of thing, looking at current year actuals for the United States. If I did update this for worldwide and I hit refresh, all my data would update just like that as well. And again, it didn't just update this report, it updated all 5 reports. Okay, if I go to my product trend report, just to see all these other reports that updated, so it's a car company, I can see here are the unit sales for all my cars on a monthly basis, right? And then I can go and see, I can do all this capability. You can see this isn't a formula, this actual versus budget. This is coming from the database fully calculated for me, right? So I can see any month, right, how we're doing up to for the current month and year to date versus last year as well. And I can change this, and again, this is live, so if I change this to May, it's going to update and then rerun all this data for May just like that. Okay, likewise, if I can see, here's my product information, and then I can see I have a gross margin by location. So now what this is doing is what we call an automatic drill down or an automatic expansion. So whatever I pick here, all these reports are all running for the same company in this case. So if I pick the United States, this is going to give me a drill down on the United States automatically and also update every other report here. You can see they all say the United States because that's what we're looking at. So just to give you a quick overview of how the reporting works inside of de facto. Now the nice thing too about de facto is you have the ability to drill down at any given point in time. So I could pick any value here and start analyzing my data. So if I were to pick this $33 million and I wanted to right click and understand it a little better, we have something called investigation. But when I investigate, I can choose whatever dimension I want, right? It's not just a straight drill down of whatever's in the row, but I can pick whatever I want. So in this case, maybe I want to see all the companies that make up that value. I say, okay, and just like that, all the companies pop up for me. If I wanted to take it a step further and show all the products underneath that, you can see entity is no longer here because it knows I'm at the lowest level, so it's smart enough to do that. I say, give me my products, and now it's giving me all my product information. So I'm drilling down just like that. Now I could even drill back to any relational database that I want. So in this case, I'm going to investigate, but now I'm going to drill back to my transactional information. So just like that, I'm going to drill back to the transactional data. And now this is telling me, based on that $33 million, it's telling me that 292.5 represents this value, right? This is the context of that value. So you don't have to have this dialogue pop up, but the point is this is revenue for New York for the T500 product, which is the 1.5 ton dual wheel for January current year. So I just wanted you to see that, and all that data comes back here, and I can see the details underneath it. Okay? So very simple and very easy to use. Now, if you did want to use de facto for budgeting capabilities as well, I just want to click here. I'm going to go down to a lower level of detail. Right, I want to go to New York, and you can see we have full workflow capabilities also. So on the right side here, I can see where everybody's at in their workflow process. So if I were to click on planning my data, right, all my data comes up here, and I'm not going to get into a ton of detail, but if I just wanted to enter a value here, I can simply enter a value. Then I can copy this across. I can put in any comments I want. Right, I can use formulas. It's just Excel. But instead of all the links I have in Excel, I'm using de facto to calculate everything for me. So all my rows here that you see, these are not formulas. They could be, but because de facto already has defined what those rows look like and how this net income rolls up, I want to be able to view that data. So I can simply see my data roll up. And what happens is not only am I getting the data for New York, but it's rolling up every dimension automatically when I write this data back to that same centralized location. So it takes a few seconds to get in, and then when I refresh, you'll see all this data now populate. Okay? So it's that simple. Now, to take it a step further, I can do, let's say, sales data. So here, I just want to enter the number of units by product I think I can sell. So I'm just going to put in a quick 5,000. Here's all my products. And you can see there's no formulas for revenue and cost of goods, right? This is just value. So I'm going to spread this.
We're at time.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So that's how it would work. I just send data, and it does all the calculations for me. So quick overview. All right, Jason, thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. All right, so we will now move on to our next presenter, and that is Nils Rasmussen of Solver. Nils, I'm going to give you control.
And can you hear me okay?
We can hear you now, yes.
Okay, great.
And we're seeing your screen.
Great, thank you. So the next 15 minutes, I'm going to show you BI 360. My name is Nils Rasmussen from Solver, and we have a BI 360 suite that covers 5 of the main areas that CFOs have indicated that are most important to them. And you see it here on this Gartner Group study. If you look on the right side, they said dashboards, visualization is number 1, financial reporting consolidation number 2, budgeting number 3, data warehouse number 4, and also various types of profitability calculations are important. And BI 360 works across all those areas because it's a full suite. It has 4 modules, and you see them here. They can work together or they can work individually. For example, if you just want to replace a older report writer like FRX, then you might just use the report writer. And when you see it as an architecture diagram, this is one way to look at it. What's interesting in BI360 is that it gives you both an Excel interface, which accountants tend to like for designing and running reports and doing budgeting, but you can also deploy those reports and budgets through our web interface where the reporting and the budgeting meets the dashboards to give you everything in the browser. So that's the second option if you have a lot of people in different places. Also, if you look at the report writer and the dashboards, they can operate in 2 different ways. They can operate live on Dynamics, and we do support all the 4 Dynamics ERP systems with full-blown live integrations and Microsoft CRM. But if it doesn't make sense from a performance standpoint to sit live on Dynamics, then you can use the report writer and the dashboard directly on our Microsoft SQL Server data warehouse. And what people really like with the warehouse is that it really is a data warehouse, so you can bring in any of your other data outside of your Dynamics data into that data warehouse and then have one version of the truth or one repository for all of the important data that you need in your budget process, in your dashboards, and in your reports. So let's take a look at this. What we'll do first is show you a glimpse of the web portal, and then we'll go back and show you how you can design a report. I know the report writing is often one of the most important things to a lot of people, so we'll show you how that works too. So here's an example of the web portal. It has many themes, so you can actually choose if you want a black background or something else. And you have the concept of a folder system on the left, so you can have your own folders, set up different ways to organize your reports, your budgets, and your dashboards. So everything is here in one. And you can also have favorites, which is this little star. So if you have 100 reports in here, you might have 3 that you always look at, so you can favorite them and very quickly get to them. It's a very easy way to navigate through your reports and dashboards. As you see, this is one of the visual ways in sort of a jukebox view, and I'm just slicing through a few dashboards here, and if you notice right there, I'm actually getting to a report. So reports and dashboards are together, same user security, same web browser, and you'll see the same when I get to my budgeting. So here's different financial statements and all the way down into sub-ledger reports like payables and receivables and so on and so on. So if we open a dashboard first, we can click on that, and then you will go and get that dashboard and open it on the screen. Again, this can be real time, for example, on your sales order processing table in Dynamics, or it can be looking at the data through the data warehouse. And in this case, you see just a revenue-focused dashboard. It has filters like most dashboards. You have drill down. So if I click, let's say, on this corporate EMEA company to look more at their sales, you can notice that this particular dashboard drilled down from the year-to-date numbers into the quarters on that one company, and it also filtered on the bottom 3 charts so that they're now only showing the product, service, and maintenance fees for that one company we clicked on. So that way you can easily navigate around and see all of your data without running reports. Now, talking about running reports, if you move to the bottom here, that's a quick way of getting to your different reports and dashboards and so on that you're analyzing. So if I come in here and click on one of my reports, now you're not looking at something from the BI360 dashboard module. You're looking at the financial statement written in Excel with our report writer, but as an end user, run through your browser. And we also have mobile apps, so you can run this in the native mobile app that's fit for a phone screen and so on. When you look at the report and you see something of interest, you can right-click and then you can drill down. This drill down can go really anywhere where you have data, so into the GL, summary, detail, or crossover into sub-ledgers such as payables or receivables or wherever that data was posted from. and you can easily get this data from your browser down into an Excel file, and we'll keep all the formulas and so on. So that's just very briefly on reports and dashboards. Now let me just show you budgeting, because that's also in the same portal. So if you like a web interface for deploying reports, dashboards to your end users, then you'll definitely like the fact that it's a full budgeting tool as well. And I just breezed through, payroll, capex, revenue detail, and I'll just open one template that's at the G&A level. So you can see the filters on the top like you saw in reports and dashboards, where I can select company, department, and so on. And there's full security, of course, controlling that. And now you're actually in a budget form, and you can go ahead and do budgeting here. You can drag in copy. You can enter formulas. You can show, history. For example, here, I wrote the reports. It brought up, year-to-date actuals plus forecast for the rest of the year. So I have that as I'm budgeting for next year. You can also right-click like this, and you can open the spreader, and you can say take actual last year, which you see there for this account, and just choose, history query, grow it by, 8%, apply that, and then pop back out. And, I did a spreading based on last year with an increase. Hit that save button, and that wherever you are in the world, that data goes straight from your browser and into the BI360 database. And once you finish your budget process, you can send that right back into Dynamics if you want to do that. So that's a quick glimpse of the portal. Got a few minutes left, so let me just show you how you can actually write a report. So some of our customers are pretty small, and they just like to sit and write the reports in Excel and run the reports in Excel. So the Excel add-in can live on its own, or they can post them up and run them through the web, as you just saw. So we have connectors to all of the dynamic systems, plus several others, so we can go live against those with the report writer. I'm going to pick Dynamics GP. Could have picked the BI360 data warehouse, but I just want to show you writing a live report on a Dynamics ERP system. And we'll do this, very, very quick, like you see here. So with all Excel add-ins, you of course benefit from formatting and Excel formulas and so on. So we're just laying out this report. All of this is Excel so far. And then we get to the fun stuff, which is on the left side, you're now seeing the Dynamics GP ERP system. It will look the same for AX and NAV and SL and so on. And we can go right in here, and in this case, we're going to drag in the account string. There you see it. Now we have a filter. Look up to your chart of accounts. We're going to select all our financial accounts. And then we're almost done with this report. We can come and get the account description. So you have literally thousands of fields available to you, because in this case, we're sitting and doing a live report, just like you're used to doing, let's say, from FRX or Management Reporter in many cases. But we also have access to all the sub-ledger data, of course. That's a big difference. So we're just finishing up this report here, making a little total there at the bottom, like that, and adding sums, formatting with Excel, as you see here. And then we can drag in some period formulas. They're all pre-built. So let's say we want that first column to be year-to-date, and the second one to be last year-to-date, and this one to be a variance. Then we should be able to go and run this report. Let's take a look at it. So we could have run this now through the web, as you saw earlier, but now we're actually doing it directly in Excel, where we are designing it. And there's our first report. Of course, I forgot to actually add a formula for variance. That's the good news with Excel add-ins, is it's all Excel formula. So it's really easy to do if you ever used Excel, which most of you have. And the drill down is immediately there. Right click, drill down, for example, all the way into journal entry level detail, which you see here, straight from the GL. So that pretty much sums up some of the pieces of BI360. And again, you see it all come together Here in architecture, like I said earlier, you can use bits and pieces of it or the whole thing or grow into the whole suite. And we have customers pretty much across all industries, wherever you found Microsoft Dynamics. And, hopefully we can have a discussion next time you're looking for a report writer, a budgeting tool, a dashboard, or a data warehouse. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Nils. I'm going to take control back here, and at this point, I'd be happy to take questions from the audience. You can, if you have a question for one of our presenters in particular, or a more general question if you're trying to get a sense of some of the broader capabilities or how they compare. I know our speakers would be happy to take your questions on that. If you have other follow-up questions for any of our presenters, here's their contact information once again. I know they'd, again, be happy to take questions offline as well. All right, so far a quiet audience, a good-sized audience, but a quiet audience. I know we'd be, we've dealt, maybe I'll throw out just one question anyway to get a little more perspective. So we've, I think in this series of BI and reporting themed sessions that we've been bringing to our readers, certainly a lot of interest in what Microsoft's own technology is offering to Dynamics customers, and I think a lot of partners and consultants also thinking about how they can integrate that into helping Dynamics customers, both ERP and CRM, manage their data better. I'd be curious if maybe each of our speakers could identify, a way that Microsoft's own advances and new product releases have either changed your perspective or maybe changed the conversation that you have with your customers when it comes to planning on how best to manage your data, how to analyze your data. And I'll throw that open to all of you. Maybe start with Anthony Bonaducci of Jet Reports. If you want to take that one.
Yeah, sure. So I think one way that we're really working closely with Microsoft, obviously being a strategic partner, that's kind of something we've done for a long time in developing our Jet Express tools. But one that comes to mind right away is kind of the integration with, Power BI. So being able to, leverage that front end that they bring to the table and put it on top of Jet's back end. I mean, really Jet, from what I see on a regular basis, has one of the strongest back ends out there. So the ability to overlay that piece has been really popular. But Microsoft, they have a good story on their back end kind of as well, but really having the data warehouse automation tool that Jet brings to the table just makes it easier, right, and automates that process. So that's actually some stuff we've been releasing webinars and videos on, and I believe on our YouTube channel we have more about that as well. So, and there'll be more videos to come.
All right, great. Anthony Deanna, do you want to give your thoughts on this question? I'm going to take you off mute here.
Yeah, sure. So I see the strides Microsoft is making. Power BI, like Anthony said, is certainly one of them. And I talked about that during my demo. And it seems like they're finally starting to get it right there after many kind of fits and starts. If you look at Azure, what they're doing there, especially around the machine learning piece, I see that direction being very important to customers who are looking to understand better where their data is going and how to, again, complementing what we do in modeling their business, but also understanding, kind of the predictive analytics. And now, again, I think that's finally, after a lot of empty promises from a number of companies, not just Microsoft, I think that's coming to fruition. And then you see what Microsoft is investing kind of at the enterprise level with the parallel data warehouse and making that more mainstream and introducing that to Azure. So I do see a lot of investments being made and how they're starting to use them to, where you normally would need a data scientist to do a lot of these things, they're trying and starting to get that into the business. So I think that's really important in how, that complements what we're doing, but also the investments that Microsoft is making that are finally starting to pay off, I think, for the business as opposed to just, the techies and the data scientists that are out there.
All right, great. And Nils?
Yeah. I agree with all of the points made, and obviously all of us work very closely with Microsoft partners and Microsoft themselves because this is our home market as compared to us living in the Oracle or SAP world, if you will. So some of the technologies that we all have to follow as ISVs or developers are, of course, all of the things Microsoft's doing with Azure, as mentioned, and with Power BI. It's something that I think all of us plan to offer nice integration. So any Dynamics customer that decide to use Power BI for their analytics, that's very, very important that we can say, great, we can be a data source for that, delivering up budget data and so on. And of course, as SQL Server moves through its generation, such as with SQL Server 2014, we can benefit from more and more of what Microsoft's doing with in-memory and such. And of course, every time there's a new version of Office, specifically Microsoft Excel, that's great for us because we benefit from every single feature that Excel provides when we're designing reports and templates. And finally, any movement around Dynamics, such as AX7 coming up and the different new versions of GP, SL, NAV, and CRM, that's something that we're on top of each time because having those integrations out of the box is what all the customers expect from us as Microsoft partners.
All right, thanks, Nils. One fairly straightforward question that came in here. Do your products interface with Dynamics SL? And maybe we'll start again with Anthony B.
Yeah, absolutely. Any of the Dynamics stuff, anything SQL, ODBC, or OLE compliant, we can hook up to. So since I've been here, the couple of years I've been with Jet, I haven't actually encountered anything we haven't been able to connect to. Not that there probably isn't something out there.
All right, Anthony D.
Yeah, pretty much the same. We can connect with, we have connectors pre-built for SL, but we can connect with anything as well.
Great, and Nils?
Same answer. SL is a very popular ERP system in our customer base. Therefore, we go all the way into sub-ledgers such as the project module in SL.
All right, wonderful. I want to just remind the folks on the line that we will have a very brief survey that'll pop up as you depart today. Just a couple questions, 15 or 20 seconds to answer it, and we really appreciate your feedback on how we can keep these webcasts being useful, valuable, effective for you as an attendee. Let's see, a couple more questions coming in. We are recording today's session. And we'll be making that available to everyone as with an email alert quite soon. Question about a bit compatibility with Dynamics CRM and AX. I think it's fair to say for all of you that you do, well, maybe I can put it to you. Do all of you have compatibility with at least Dynamics AX? For Dynamics CRM, maybe it's different answers, but maybe we'll start with Anthony D this time from de facto.
Sure. Yes, same as what we said before. So we have connectors for both of those that we can bring data in. Absolutely.
Okay. Nils?
Yes.
Yeah. And Anthony Bonaducci of Jet Reports.
Yep, I mean that's the power of the DWA platform on the back end. So yeah, any of that stuff, it's really common. We see a lot of times, especially like NAV, GP, it'll be NAV and CRM that they want. AX, yes, we have our VP of BI oversees our AX practice, so that's another thriving part of our business as well.
Great. We're getting a few questions about, people interested in finding partners, finding resellers, perhaps becoming resellers. I would say just reach out to our speakers. Their emails are on the slide here, and I'm sure they'd be happy to tell you more or direct you to the right person in their organizations on those kinds of questions as well. So we appear to be at the end of the question queue here. I want to just say thanks to Nils, Anthony Deanna, Anthony Bonaducci for taking the time to present to us today.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks to everyone in the audience for your attention, for the questions. Again, please look for that survey on as we depart today. Thanks for being a part of the BI Spring 2015 webcast series, BI and Reporting. We really appreciate it. We've had great attendance all spring long on a range of topics. We look forward to bringing you more sessions on BI and reporting related themes very soon. With that, we will conclude today's session. Thanks and have a great day.